Hi everyone, today I'm going to be talking about Jaws. Basically what I'm talking about is like how the audience reacted, like what sounds, visuals, stuff like that. And I've got the postbox up, and it says determine a reaction from an audience when you consider their age and gender. So first off, age. With Jaws, there was a mixed age group in the theatre watching it. Mainly adults, because Jaws were classed as a horror film back then. So, mainly adults actually. And the first scream scene, as they called it, that got a really big reaction. The audience reacted pretty well. They screamed. Apparently one ran out of the theatre because they were that scared. And that was like the first scene with Bruce, the shark. So I think age, in my opinion, would mainly be adults. So yeah, next point, gender. With gender, to me, I don't think it matters, but I think it was mainly probably females, maybe scared a little bit more, especially with like the scene where the kids were running out of the water. Females would probably relate to that more. If it was their kids, they'd be scared in that situation, so they kind of relate to the scene or film. With the like killing scenes, they'd probably like feel queasy maybe and scream. Typical women behaviour. With males, I think it's different. I don't think they're scared as much because they wouldn't. It's not that they wouldn't like. What's the word? They wouldn't be like majorly shocked because males aren't scared that easily. They would. They might jump now and again with the jump scares in it. Where the shark turning up unexpectedly and stuff like that. I think the age rating is a 15. I think it is. Oh no, it was a 13, sorry. It was rated at 13, but I feel it should have been more of a 15 in my opinion, as it wouldn't have scared 15-year-olds, I guess, as much. Next question, why do you think it's suitable for this age range? In my opinion, I don't think it's like this relevant for that age. I don't think it's suitable for that age because there's a lot of blood in it, lots of violence in it, and to be honest, I don't think you want to scare 13-year-old kids enough so they won't go into the water, if you get me. But again, like I said, I don't think it's suitable because the 13-year-olds, although they're nearing 15, they're still scared easily. But yeah, with that, it's not suitable for 13s, in my opinion. Some others may disagree, but again, in my opinion, I think it's that. Next question, do you think it could be revised and why? With that one, I'm not so sure. with that, I feel that it could have been a little bit more revised for age range and what age would be coming to see the film, like age groups and ranges. I feel that they should have planned out the age rating more. They should have made it to like a 15 or an 18 because of the violence and stuff in it. But yeah, that's with that one. It's kind of difficult to explain that one, but again, I've tried to explain it how I feel about it. Okay. Next is how information is communicated and understood by the audience member in terms of sounds, visuals, words, and music used. Okay, first off, sounds. With the sounds, there wasn't many interesting sounds. For example, in modern horror films, you'd hear more screaming or blood splatter or things like that. With this one, it was mainly water sounds with Jaws because obviously it's set in the water. But in my opinion, I feel that the sounds aren't like exciting enough. I feel that they could have added more interesting sounds to keep the audience interested. There was screaming in it, but there weren't as much as you'd expect in a horror film. But nowadays it'll probably be seen more as a thriller than a horror. To me, Jaws reminds me of Lake Placid, which is about a crocodile. And that was kind of the same with sounds and everything. But anyway, going off topic. Visuals. With visuals, the visuals were okay, but again, I feel they could have been more exciting, like more gore, if you get me, like more excitement. For example, with the visuals in Jaws, you didn't get to see the shark very often, which build more suspense in the audience because they don't know when he's going to appear or next kill somebody. So to me that adds more suspense, which I found a really good thing in this movie. They did that really well. So yeah, visuals. Words. The words used were not... The script, in my opinion, was a bit cheesy. Not very... What's the word? It's not very exciting. I feel that the acting, well, the scripting actually, could have been a little bit better because it wasn't exciting enough. It wasn't entertaining as it could have been. Yeah, I admit there were a few comedic bits in. For example, I'm gonna need a bigger boat, and things like that. But I think the only thing that engaged with some audience members was the speech about the... What was the ship called? What was it called? I can't remember the name of the ship. But about the Navy, I think it was, or the Army. They were basically going on seas, and something happened with this ship that I think the sharks were biting it and stuff, and it started to sink, and all the sailors fell off it and got eaten by sharks. Jaws put that in, I think, in my opinion, to engage with older members of the audience. For example, those who survived that or was part of that. But yeah, with that, the script again could have been a little bit better. Music used. Music used was... Well, there wasn't much music in it. The main bit was the theme for Jaws. It was just that I felt in the movie, that I heard. I didn't hear much music after that. The only times I actually heard music was when you hear the shark come in, or when it's going to attack someone. I think in that sense, it weren't very good, in my opinion, that they didn't put a lot of music in, because like sometimes with music in films it can set a mood. For example, in a romantic movie you'd have romantic music to set the mood. With this one it didn't particularly do much. It didn't put any music in it. But yeah, that's what I think of that. Next it's asking, why is this piece of music so well known, and what do they say about it in the documentary? In the documentary, they talk about it, saying that they did that to cause more suspense and more tension, because you couldn't see the shark coming, but yet you could hear it coming because of the music. The music made Jaws well known because of who directed the music. But they did it in such a way that it made, as soon as you heard the theme, you knew instantly what it was or where it came from. But yeah, I think that's the main reason why they did that, so it was recognisable to audiences worldwide. Next question. How does the music in particular help to send messages to the audience, and what is going to happen? With that one, it's just basically what I said about the audience bit, where I said they did it so the audience knew it was coming, but they couldn't see it. So that built more tension into that. But with that one, basically, it's basically what I've just said now, but in more detail. They would have used it so that audiences, again, would recognise it, and then they'd probably watch it again. The film itself were being viewed in cinemas for years, apparently. They just kept replaying it in cinemas because so many people wanted to see it that made it popular. Because in the documentary they explained that it was really, really hard to film and really difficult to like get things right. But it turns out that they did do it right, and many people wanted to see it worldwide, not just in Britain or America, wherever it was filmed. So yeah, basically that's what that was. Next one is, most of the time you do not see the shark in the visual. Again, how does this help build tension? It builds tension because, again, you don't know when it's coming, so you're trying to guess where he is, where the shark is, and who he's going to attack first or last. I think they did that for a specific reason. They did it for that reason only, so that the audiences wouldn't see it as much, because they couldn't. In the documentary they said that they couldn't get the shark working, so they changed the script where the shark was hardly ever seen. So yeah, that's that. The next one is generic style used in the production. Narrative, content, camera work, graphics, mise-en-scène, and iconography. First of all, narrative. The narrative again was a little bit too cheesy for me. It wasn't thought of very well. It wasn't built up upon. It would just say this and it'll be fine. But it weren't. The script was a bit terrible in my opinion. But also some of it was quite good. Like for example when the fisherman is telling the story about this ship that was years ago. But yeah, with that it's just simply they tried to give a good script, but it just didn't turn out as well as people think it could. Also, they did try and put a bit of comedic in it. Like I said before, with we're gonna need a bigger boat when they actually see Bruce when he tries to eat the boat. They tried doing that. Content. The content was good, but again, it could have been better. It could have been made earlier on instead of them having to rush making it. Which is like with the narrative, it feels like they rushed it. And the content was, the main star was the shark, but you never saw it. Well, you didn't never see it, but you hardly saw it. The only time you saw it was when it attacked a certain person. I can't remember what the character name was. It attacked a certain person and they were underwater, and you could see it dragging the body and that. That were quite good. But yeah, camera work. With the camera work, it was good because when they were doing the water scenes, they created a box, like a black box. So half of the camera was in the water, half of it wasn't, so that it could catch both bits on top of the water and underneath. At the top, on the top of the water, you could see the person in distress screaming for help, and on the bottom you could see the shark attacking it and attacking the person, and you could see all the main bits that they wanted you to see. So with me, the camera work was very well done in this film because they experimented with different shots. For example, with the box, that were an experiment. They did that to see if it'd work. Obviously they put a screen, like a plastic screen or a glass screen, in front of the camera so it didn't get wet. So basically they just made it like a see-through box. But yeah, again, the camera work was very well done. And yeah, that's that. Graphics. The graphics were in some parts good, but in some parts it was just a little bit inappropriate. For example, when the little boy is on the raft, I thought that was a little bit inappropriate for audiences younger than 15. And it showed a lot of blood and gore. And again, with audiences, parents would have reacted to that more, because what if it was their child? They would have felt like they couldn't do anything. And like, also with the graphics, they didn't, when they were filming, they said in the documentary they didn't want any other ships coming in. They didn't want like sails or anything coming into it, or different boats, because they wanted to make the audience feel as isolated as they were in the film. Like when they were in the ship, they wanted to make them feel like alone, and they couldn't do anything to stop the attacks or anything. But yeah, with mise en scène, I got told to ignore that. I didn't have to do that, but I want to anyway, because I feel that there's a few points I want to give about that. Mise en scène is basically where things are placed in certain scenes in a shot. Again, for example, when they shot the boat in the middle of the ocean, surrounded by nothing but ocean, they did that. They tried, in the documentary they said they tried over and over again to get it just the ship on its own, which to me